This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, and I'm so excited to be talking with today's guest. I think I'm so excited to be talking with everybody's guest. I just realized how often I tell you all that. I'm so excited to be talking to a guest because honestly, here on the No Guilt Mom podcast, we have the best guests. But today in particular, we are talking about our thinking and our mindset. And in terms of here at No Guilt Mom, in our Lotus framework, thinking and mindset is one of the 4 parts of it to really live your life as a happy mom. So I am super stoked to get into this topic. And to help us with that is Diana Pagano. Diana is the founder of the Make Things Happen movement, international keynote speaker, host of the Make Things Happen podcast, and author of the book, The More Mindset. Her specialty is mindset transformation by helping people identify and break the internal patterns that keep them stuck and replacing them with beliefs and behaviors that create forward momentum. In this podcast, you are going to learn about how your thinking may actually be holding you back a little bit and how to reframe those thoughts and turn them into ones that are more helpful to move you forward. We're going to get into it a lot. And so let's get on with the show. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast, Diana. I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to be here.
Mindset is one of my favorite things to talk about because I honestly didn't start learning about mindset until I began my teacher preparation programs. And it was in one room where there was a speaker talking about how your thoughts could basically hold you back from achieving what you wanted to achieve. Like that is the first mention that I heard of it. Can you remember, just out of curiosity, when did you realize that mindset can make such a difference in your life?
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. So at the time I was a single mom actually in Scottsdale, Arizona, where you're from, your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
In Arizona. And I remember, being a single mom, pursued real estate because I wanted to give my children something better than what I had growing up, very unstable environment, growing up basically my entire childhood in San Diego. And so I remember just going like a mad woman 7 days a week, like a chicken with her head cut off. And I shared this all the time. Like I was like Pac-Man, just trying to get anything that came my way. And I finally just reached a breaking point. There has to be more to life than living on pure survival mode all the time. And it wasn't exhaustion of just having to work. It was exhaustion mentally, emotionally, physically, of just being on all the time. There was never an off switch because I was so deathly afraid of failure. Failure just wasn't an option for me at the time. And I remember just stumbling across a book, and it was about your subconscious mind and how we actually have the power to control our thoughts. And I'm like, huh? So I started to read even further and even just delved myself into most amazing books out there, and even Bible scripture, regardless of what religion you are. I think scripture, there's a way of talking to us, and it's like a messenger in a way. And so, but I remember just having a breaking point, Joanne, at the time. And I'm like, wait, our thoughts can actually be on purpose. Like you can think on purpose, but these thoughts that are just coming to me, like this isn't, you can do it on purpose. And so that was more so curiosity. And that's where my self-discovery really started. And I was in, my mid to late 20s at the time. I was a very young mom, got married really young, and then soon became a single mom. And that was the first moment that you're asking me was started to change. That's the initial spark kind of, right? Because nothing ever really happens overnight. It was a journey for sure. But that's when I became obsessed really with our mind and all the power that it actually does have.
Yeah, I think a lot of people hear the word, your subconscious thoughts, and they're like, that's a lot of woo. Like, what is your response to the people who are like, that's woo, that doesn't happen?
Oh gosh, yes, that's a big one. So it's interesting because none of the things that you could read about or learn about, none of the things I talk about, for example, it hasn't been reinvented. Like this has been happening. This is the way that every single human has been created, right? There's science of how your brain responds, what neural pathways you single-handedly, yes, you are creating based on fundamental beliefs that you've believed maybe your whole life. Maybe somebody impregnated this as a child. Maybe it was a teacher. Maybe it was a parent, right?
Mhm.
This isn't woo woo. And it sounds like it could be woo woo. And I know what you're saying because I've seen a lot of people that are like, that doesn't work. What are you being a psychic? You're like a, some kind of genie. You just tell your brain this and all of a sudden you get $1 million. No, that's not how it works. But when you understand the true fundamentals of how you were created as a person, as a human, doesn't matter who you are, Bill Gates, Oprah, it doesn't matter whoever you aspire to be, of any kind, any inventor, any genius out there, any mentor, every single human was created with the same exact ingredients. And I think that when you learn that, I think that was for me, it was more so foundational. It was like, wow, knowledge. And you hear this a lot. It might sound a little bit of a cliche, like knowledge is power. But when you're aware of how this works, how this operates, right? And the fact that you actually are controlling and filtering what comes your way and what doesn't based on what you're receiving to be true, based on a belief, right? Our subconscious mind, it's our reticular activating system that lives in the back of our brain, the bottom of our brain. That was there. Science is science, right? This isn't religion, right? But that's how I say God, but whoever you say, whoever you believe in, like for me, it's God. God created every single person the same exact way with the same exact ingredients. And if I could just geek out a little bit on neuroscience, but the reticular activating system that each of us have, like that you have, all is governed, right? It's wired. If you think of a computer, as corny as it sounds, they're wired a certain way. It's all wired based on your own unique beliefs, right? Like you can have like your neighbor, right? Your neighbor could have the same background as you, the same money in their bank account, the same amount of education or lack thereof, doesn't matter, the same cards, but that person decided to not take advantage of whatever was in front of them or think differently or think that I'm a person that just can't get anything right. I don't have everything that I need to figure it out. I didn't finish college. I don't have money. So if you're a person that believes this, you're now feeding your reticular activating system, and therefore it has no choice really but to filter. In other words, bring to you ideas, solutions, resources that will, now it's like antennas. They go up.
Yeah.
They start paying attention to whatever it is that you feel.
It's like you don't realize the opportunities in front of you when you keep feeding yourself the same beliefs. And I love thinking about the reticular activating system in terms of when you're car shopping and automatically, like as soon as you're looking at like a Toyota Prius, you see all the other Toyota Priuses on the road. And that's like exactly what we can do with the opportunities in front of us. Once we're aware of them, we can see all the opportunities that come up. And if you're listening right now and you're like, I don't even know what opportunities to look out for, Diana, like what is something that people can change in their thinking to bring more into their lives?
Absolutely. I would say, Joanne, it starts with alignment, like aligning yourself. If you want to move out of your parents' garage, if you want to build that business, if you want to go back to work because you stayed home with the kids, whatever it is, right? I would start with, what does this mean for you? Because oftentimes we all have priorities. We all prioritize things differently, but whatever it is that you're after, there has to be a purpose behind it. What's the purpose behind whatever it is that you want to do? And everything that we're doing or not doing comes with a story, some sort of story that you are telling yourself in this moment, right? Or that you used to tell yourself, and maybe that still lingers. Maybe it's not as bad, but it's still kind of there. Like, I'm just not ready yet. Or when the kids get older, right? Or when they're out of diapers, I'll put them in preschool, right? And so I would start by, first off, what is it that you want? Believe it or not, John, you ask a 7-year-old, what do you want for Christmas? And they're sitting there like going crazy with their list. And then you ask
everything.
A 30-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 57-year-old, it doesn't matter. And they look at you a deer in headlights. So getting clear is really, really important on what it is that you want and that you're using words that move you forward. It's a funny thing. I just did this video the other day. I was playing Trouble with my children the other day. They got, Trouble for Christmas. And it was my turn to go. And I remember they were pressuring me like, your turn to do the dice. And I'm like, wait. I need to tell my brain, I need to have a target. I need to know where I'm headed. And so it sounds silly, but I remember like my son was about to beat all of us. He was like about to get there. And I'm like, I need 6 steps to get him out and send him home. And so I said to myself, wait, let me manifest this. And they looked at me like they're kind of used to it by now. But I did the dice. I kid you not, I rolled a 6. And so my point of why I'm saying that is that that's where you want to start. And people might think, oh, that's a little weird. You just tell your brain what you want. Absolutely. You got to interrupt the pattern of this old stories that you've been actually living, whether I'm not ready to do this yet, or I don't have what it takes, or what would they think of me, or whatever it is that might be holding you back. And if it's none of those things, then just get clear. Sometimes you just need clarity. Where are you headed?
Yeah, the clarity is so important. And I have so many questions about that in terms of things that I struggle with in my life. And I'm going to ask you those right after this. I've been thinking about 2026, and one of my big goals is finally starting a real travel fund. Like, not just a maybe someday fund or like book the vacation and then hope you have all the money to pay for it, but one that actually makes the trip happen, because I don't want money stress deciding what we say yes to anymore. Managing your money doesn't have to be a struggle this year. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your laptop or phone. Start your new year on the right foot financially and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code NOGUILT. And let's be real, typically New Year's resolutions don't last past February, because when you make them, there's usually wishes. You make wishes, but there's no solid plan. Monarch helps you set realistic financial goals based on your actual life. In fact, in a 2025 survey, Monarch helped users save over $200 per month on average after joining. This new year, achieve your financial goals for good. Monarch is the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use code NOGUILT at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code NOGUILT. Whenever I think about meal planning, I feel this wave of anxiety, because just the thought of sitting down to do it takes so much time and brain space. Like deciding what I want to eat, what my kids will eat, how to make everyone happy, and somehow still get more fruits and vegetables on the table. It's exhausting for me before I even step into the kitchen. That's why Hungry Root has been such a game changer for me. Hungry Root is honestly the easiest way to eat healthy because it does all the thinking for you. It works like a personal nutrition coach and a grocery shopper all in one. You take this quick quiz and tell Hungry Root your preferences. I answered questions like what proteins I like, what flavors I like, what foods I don't like, and especially like I'm thinking of my kids there too, and also how you like to cook. And then Hungry Root builds this entire meal plan and sends it straight to your door. And the meals range from super simple, like these quick microwave options, to chef-inspired recipes that feel elevated but are still easy to make. It makes everyone happy. Most importantly, me. It makes me happy. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/NGM and use code NGM. That's hungryroot.com/NGM, code NGM to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. The start of a new year always gets me thinking about what I want for myself and what I want for my family. I ask myself the question, how do we set everyone up for success? And for a lot of parents that I know, that question comes up most around school. Maybe your child needs more flexibility. Maybe they learn better at their own pace. And that's why I want to tell you about K-12 powered schools. K-12 powered schools are tuition free. They're online and they're accredited public schools for kindergarten through 12th grade. And what I love most is that they're designed to meet kids where they are. With K-12, your child gets the support they need through a tailored curriculum. They also use hands-on innovative technology to make learning interactive. As a former teacher, I can tell you how important that is. K-12 has more than 25 years of experience helping students build real skills, grow in confidence, and thrive with flexibility and personalized learning. If you're rethinking what school could look like for your child this year, K-12 powered schools are absolutely worth exploring. Join the more than 3 million families who have been served by K-12 and empower your student to reach their full potential now. You can make the switch at any time. Go to k12.com/NGM today to learn more. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/NGM, k12.com/NGM. Okay, Diana, before the break, you were talking about clarity and figuring out what you want. And I see two things happen, especially in our community here. We call them Lolas. They're Lotus ladies. They live by our Lotus framework. And what I see in the Lolas is that number one, some of them don't even know what they want. They don't know what makes them happy. And then the other group knows so many things they want and can't decide on the one to go for that makes them happy. So let's start with first the ones who don't know what they want. What should
Okay.
they do?
Absolutely. So let me tell you the first thing that most people have trouble with. They have trouble identifying what they want because they're living, and this is going to sound crazy for a lot of you realists listening in, they're too busy focused on reality. The reality is I need $30,000 to start my business. The reality is my kids are too little. The reality is I don't have a babysitter, right? You got to eliminate the barriers. The barriers that exist is only alive because you're keeping them alive. Whoever's listening that feels like they don't know where to start, I want you to start as if, and that sounds a little woo-woo, but let me just play with it because how bad do you want it? Do the crazy thing. I want you to pretend money's not an issue, people, resources. You have a magic wand, and if you could do the thing tomorrow, whatever it is, if you can do the thing tomorrow and do a magic wand, what would you do first? And trust me, when you do that, the questions you ask, you're going to get answers based on how you ask the questions. And that's going to be a huge opener because a lot of times there's unconsciously, you don't even know why you're stuck because, again, there's barriers that you're putting or have put in the past. And so I think clarity comes from that. It's just pretend nothing existed. No limitations existed. You had your dream life. And what would the thing be that you would do? And there's
I love that thought process. Yeah.
Yes. And there's a part of us that sometimes you push back because, sometimes it's easier to be comfortable because you know what comfortable brings you versus the unknown, right? And getting out of that comfort zone.
And especially a lot of people who I feel have been disappointed in their lives so far. It's even harder to get those people to think of a what if no barriers existed, because they're so focused on the barriers all the time. There's no room almost.
Right. That's a good one. Sorry, that's a good one because that is huge, what you just said. And that's the part of a realist because it's a fact. I did this thing before, it didn't work, whatever narrative it is. And again, it's not that you're delusional. It's not that that thing didn't happen. You might have good reasons why you're where you are. If you want to change the channel, I always talk about this in my book, changing the channel is about what you focus on. If I'm focused on how nervous I am about doing this thing, if I'm focused on how this time it's not going to work because so-and-so did it and they failed, or maybe I tried it once and I failed, right? It sounds crazy. It sounds silly and so simplistic, but I'm telling you, you want to know why it's so important to change the channel, change your channel of focus. What if this time it does work out? What would it look like now that you did the thing that was hard? Right? You know why it's so important to get on that frequency? Again, when I mentioned earlier, getting in alignment with it. And that's why when you start doing the thing, research has shown the first step of anything, I don't care what it is, going back to school, looking for a new job, applying for something else, that first step that you do is going to be your hardest one, or procrastinating, whatever it is, right? Once you do the first one, the second and the third, research shows it doesn't lie. And it's been a lot of research based on action. Why do people take action? Why do some people lack taking action? It's that first step is your hardest one. And when you know that your second step will likely happen even quicker, that's when you start getting into alignment and you start exuding a frequency. Again, getting a little woo-woo here with neuroscience.
Yeah.
When you get into that frequency, Joanna, as you know, you start vibrating differently. Now you're playing
start showing up
differently. A whole different playing field than you would be.
I can see that, and how just taking those steps actually gives you more clarity, because once you take one step, you're like, oh, okay, this is either a really great direction and I'm really enjoying myself, or it's not. And I really need to shift my focus. Going back to that other group of people, the group of people I heavily identify with, not knowing what to pick. I feel I try to do so many things. I want to make so many things happen all at once that I kind of spread my focus really thin. What do you recommend in that case?
Absolutely. I'm big with writing down. You get so much clarity, believe it or not, and just unconsciously as you're writing things down, all the things that I'm interested in. And I would categorize them. Not that I want you thinking that tomorrow's your last day, but if you had to narrow it down and say, if I had to put it in priority, what would be the one thing that I would love to do before I left this planet? It's just a matter of what is it? Because they can all light your heart on fire. But in reality, when you're focused on too many things, you don't give it your all on that one thing, right? And so I think and sometimes it's just like, don't be hard on yourself. Like, some people just want to experience different things, like I had this one person, I want to open a boutique store. I want to, be able to do painting. And okay, could you do both until you figured out where your calling is really calling for you, right? There's that little voice that calls us. And sometimes having too many options definitely will distract you to really give it your all on that one thing. So I think unconsciously we don't realize that sometimes we need options, because in case something doesn't work out, you have something else that you're doing, right? So I would dig deeper and say, what is more important to me on an importance scale, 1 through 5? Which one would I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And if you're struggling with 2, then I would pray about it. I mean, that's what I would do. I would say, which one's calling your name? And let me tell you something. A lot of times people are so busy, especially working moms are so busy because your job's not done. You go home and you got the kids, you got this, that you don't silence your mind. When you meditate, Joanne, it is powerful, but it's more intentional meditation, because there's different levels of meditation. You're like, meditation to just relax my mind, center myself. That's good. When you meditate with intention, like, I want clarity. I'm debating X, Y, Z. And then you meditate and you just silence your mind with that intention. It's all about what intention you have. My intention for today is to reflect on these 3 or 5 things that I don't really know what to go all in with. When you go all in on that one thing, you're going to see the results. So it's definitely a good question that a lot of people are struggling with, that I've seen myself. So
yeah, it's hard because I know that there are, for instance, I can think of one woman who's a doctor who has a very, very demanding life as a doctor, but also in addition to being a doctor, she also has to publish all the time to get into the higher ranks. And she has to be on all these different boards to make sure that like her work is seen. And so it's almost like all of these expectations can be on you too. So how do you kind of balance those expectations with actually like figuring out what you should do and what you should go for?
absolutely. I can relate to being on boards, and honestly, even ran for the board of ed in my town once upon a time. And us overachievers want to take on the world. And I think it starts with you. It starts with you reevaluating. For me, it's personally and professionally. As a mom, as a wife, that is my priority. To be a good mom, to be a good wife, you have to be fulfilled and pursuing something of true purpose that really lights your heart on fire, whatever that is. And even a stay-at-home mom, that's a full-time job. And that's, some people that's all they want to do. And that's great. To answer your question, I think that the biggest thing is reflecting again on what is your priorities, and not saying yes to some things that you might feel are important, but at what cost? Because oftentimes, right, it causes anguish, anxiety, and unnecessary stress. Because I was on the board, I still am on boards, but I had to say no to some things. And so, yes, you want to be everything to everyone, but you have to evaluate, what's my purpose by being on these boards? Do I want to elevate my business? Do I want recognition? Right? Because you can have all the things and be successful. It doesn't have to be an overload. It doesn't have to. And when you get clear and you start raising your standards on yourself, your time, you are going to be surprised at how quickly you'll start to see things unfolding for yourself, because now you breathe differently. You show up differently.
That's true. And that brings to mind something about capacity and knowing your own capacity, because I look at what I want to do and I really don't feel I'm at capacity yet, but I'm scared of going over my capacity. And that is what stops me from like pursuing one more thing. Like I'm afraid that, oh my gosh, I'm going to say yes to all these things. And then all of a sudden I will be dropping balls everywhere. I'll be like disappointing people. I won't be doing my best. So it's like trying to make those decisions.
That's great information you just shared, Joanne, because you're tying that if you do more, it means that dropping the ball, blah, 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 blah. You have all these things, right? Could you do the things and delegate? Could you outsource? Like, how could you make this work where you don't drop the ball, right? I think that, again, it's like you have 2 options. You do this thing, there's 2 outcomes, I should say. It goes smoothly, you're on top of your game, you have the right support, or it could look reckless. And I think that initially, your initial thing is like, it looks reckless, I'm going to drop, not reckless, maybe maybe I'm being dramatic with the words, but you're afraid, fear comes, right? You're having fear, you're already I guess what I would say is that you're already planning for, I hate to say it, but kind of failure for the future.
Oh, you're kind of right, though. You
Right?
hit that nail on the head there.
A lot of us have done that. I've been there where it's like self-sabotage, because then people don't go for what they really want because of all the reasons that they're going to fail. It's like, no, so what? What is it that you want? Who can help you? I mean, AI right now is next level. I can't tell you how many things I use AI and I'm like, what? I never
All
thought
the time I use
possible.
it.
Right. But in a beautiful way, you still need a human, right? It's a supplement. It's not like you want to do everything on AI, but you know.
No, but like with AI, it like eliminates some of the things, because I know that there's a lot of guilt also about AI because of like the energy usage and like the lack of human communication. But I think like if you're aware of it and how it can support you, it's actually
Absolutely.
a great thing. I mean, I use AI with this podcast. I don't use it like during the interviews or anything like that, but writing show notes, writing the summary, yeah, AI is used.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, I think it's what you focus on and how you see the thing. If you see it hard, your reticular activating system, the antennas are always on. You can't shut it off. So what you tell yourself, if I'm going to jump right, instead, I would encourage anyone with this pattern, and I've been there myself. So what I do, and then when I coach people, how can I make this work? How can I do this thing and be on top of the things that I need to be on top of? I know it sounds so simple, like, what, Diana? That's all I have to do is ask the questions. You know why? Your reticular activating system is your friend, is your greatest asset. Just by you asking it, the antennas are now looking for ideas, solutions. You might get an email left field. You might walk into, I shared this once too. You might walk into an elevator and meet somebody that is now going to help you with that thing that you were thinking, because now you saw it as possible. If you see it as possible, you just open. I don't care if it's a crack. You just open the window to allow what's possible to come in.
I mean, you nailed it. I am seeing it as a potential for failure instead of thinking about it about what can I do. And I want to get into like more thoughts that may sabotage us right after this. I used to have this friend who made yearbooks for her kids every year, and I loved the idea until I realized it took her weeks to put one together. And I knew that was never going to happen for me. That's why I'm so excited to have created a year in review book with Journey Print. Journey Print lets you upload your photos straight from your phone, and their smart algorithm automatically organizes everything by date and even adds maps and locations. So it becomes a real story, not just a pile of pictures in just minutes. One of my favorite moments in the book is seeing all of these little everyday memories put together and being able to go through them with my kids at my side rather than just scrolling through my photos on my phone. Holding it in my hands let me relive all of it. It is a meaningful keepsake that fits my life, and it came together so fast and easy. Plus, the quality is gorgeous. You can choose from premium satin or glossy paper, and Journey Print plants one tree for every order, which I love. Go to journeyapp.com/podcast/NGM and use the code NOGUILT to get 30% off your next purchase. That's Journey, spelled JOURNIAPP.com/podcast/NGM and use code NOGUILT at checkout.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn and I hire wrong. So our orders get all backed up. We're drowning in paperwork, then actually drowning, careless fighting off sharks with a stapler, and pirates are pillaging the office copier, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant goes beyond the resume, using unique insights to deliver a smarter shortlist. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Visit Blinds.com now for up to 45% off site-wide, plus a free professional measure. Rules and restrictions apply.
So right before the break, we were talking about how the thoughts could sabotage us. And I know that's particularly in women's lives, in moms' lives, there are some big, big thoughts that hold us back, put there from either our childhood, put there from society. What are some of the big ones you see that happen a lot?
I think a lot is generational false beliefs and from generations, honestly. You grow up a certain way, you were told a certain thing, well into adulthood, and you believe the thing. And sometimes it's not like people in your life or your mom or dad or aunt, uncle, or teacher are malicious necessarily. That's how they were taught. And then it's been brought down to you. I share about this as well. For example, I know dating myself in my 40s, but I remember I was in Houston, Texas, and in kindergarten, first grade, we were taught, everyone in my generation were taught that, I know it sounds so silly and it may sound so small, but imagine where else this shows up. Eggs was supposedly back then part of a dairy group. And
Yeah.
we thought it was dairy. I remember I was well into an adult and I was told that I had to not have dairy. And the first thing I thought of is like, I can't have eggs. Like I know milk and cheese, but I can't have eggs. And I'm like, wait, no, that's
They were in the same box on the food pyramid.
in the same box in the food. I still remember being in the carpet, sitting down with all my fellow students there, classmates. And so that's what I'm talking about. Can you imagine where else this showed up? My mom always told me not to have a banana at night. I'll get a tummy ache. And I asked her later, and then I'm a mom and I never let my kids have a banana at night. You're going to get a tummy ache. And I recently, in my 30s, I actually asked my mom, where did that come from? And she goes, I was shocked. I don't know. My grandmother told my mom and my mom told me. And I'm like, and now you told me, and I tell my kids. And I finally said, have the banana.
Yeah.
So, this is a very real thing that even after, my whole transformation and my discovery of, your mind, I started to uncover more. I can't wait 5 years from now what I'm going to learn. Right. And so anyone that has a lot of things holding them back, they don't always know where it's coming from. They don't always know where it's coming from. Like I said before, when you have a human, anybody, a person, I used to say this to myself, Joanne, when I had nothing. I had nothing. And I used to tell myself, all the great opportunities come my way. I attract all the right people and the things and the opportunities that come my way. And so everyone would tell me later, like, everything always happens. Things just land on your lap. I said, no, they don't just land on my lap. It's because I aligned myself with the frequency. And you tell yourself enough, I'm good enough. I'm confident. I'm powerful. I have more energy today than I did yesterday. I can add another thing on my plate and be responsible and be successful, right? Whatever it is, you tell yourself enough, your reticular activating system has no other choice but to now look for opportunities, solutions, things that mimic the vibration that you're in.
Absolutely. I know that like one of my jobs as a coach is supposed to be to help people and question them, to find those little beliefs. And something that I find comes up a lot in moms, especially that affects their interactions with their partner or friendships, is when they look at somebody else's actions, say it's like their husband, and their husband is kind of like stopping to explain stuff and they get annoyed. The immediate thought that typically comes up is they think I'm stupid. Other people think I'm stupid. I'm not as smart as I should be. I'm not as smart as so-and-so. That's a huge belief pattern that I see that holds a lot of women back. Have you seen any belief patterns? I mean, obviously you have, but like what other belief patterns have you seen that holds women back?
There's definitely a sense of, not to make this about, male, female, but sometimes it's a huge one, actually, especially, whether my husband knows more than me or he's the business mindset person. I don't know. I know nothing about business because I'm married to someone that is in business, but could you learn? Could you do the thing? Right. And so sometimes there is that. And I don't know, not to get into like marriages or anything, because I don't counsel, married couples, but I do know a thing or two. And so for me, I'm very old school. I'm very traditional. And I think that when you know who you are, I think that's the biggest thing with belief, no matter who you are, no matter what belief you carry, is when you know yourself and you are comfortable in your own skin with what you bring to the table. I think a lot of insecurities, a lot of false beliefs start to kind of melt away. And the biggest thing I always say to people is write down whatever it is that you're in. If you're a wife, what are the 5 things you love about yourself as a wife? What do you bring to the table as a wife? What do you bring to the table as a stay-at-home mom? What do you bring to the table as a business leader? What do you bring to the table for whatever it is, right? And start writing down all that you love about yourself. What do you bring to the table? You'll be surprised because now you've given your brain a different direction. you would never think of all the qualities and the things that actually you like. Okay, I can't think of anything. Okay, what would somebody else tell you? Well, I'm told that I got great work ethic. I'm told that I'm funny. Okay, write that down, right? Because a lot of these beliefs that we have are false. In fact, there's been, again, I'm really big with research. Research shows, Joanne, that most of our negative thoughts, which is like 80 or 90% of our negative thoughts, whatever it is, I'm not good enough, I can't do that thing, I'm not pretty enough, I don't have enough, whatever it is, over 80 or 90% of those are actually false assumptions. And I always say, right, I always say fear, FEAR, false evidence that appears to be real, but are they real? Right? And so I would challenge any belief, regardless of which one it is, of like, how real is this? What else can this mean?
Yeah, it's typically not real. And just like changing it has such dramatic impact on your life. Like I'm going to take from this interview that like my whole desire to do all the things, I'm going to change. I can handle it. See, even that, it gets me nervous. Do you see like how I just clamp up with saying it?
And let me tell you one last thing about that, Joanne, because anyone listening, and even for you, I want you to think about this. When you want to do something that all of a sudden there's a part of you that's like resistance, or it's, again, your subconscious mind, the back of your mind that actually is unconscious. If you ever drive to like, I don't know, on a Saturday, I used to be so fanatically obsessed with Starbucks. I still have it here and there, but I used to do it religiously, like so bad. And I remember on a Saturday, I would drive off the exit and go to the same Starbucks out of habit. I'm like, I'm not going to Starbucks, but out of habit, you would do that. And I share that because more than 80% of the time you live on a subconscious mind of habits and all the habits that you do. But when you know that your brain is designed to keep you safe. So when you think about, oh, well, what can go wrong and all the fear and the failure that could happen, if you just know off the bat, oh, this is normal, my brain's just trying to keep me safe, then I think awareness is key because you know it's part of life that can happen. And then you just keep moving forward.
Yeah, we like to refer to that as our Bob, like our Bob who's like telling us all the bad things that could happen, but it's not, it's just fear. It's Bob trying to keep you safe because it's unknown and unproven. And he just wants to keep you in a little box, but it prevents your growth.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Diana, tell us more about your book, The More Mindset.
Yeah. So The More Mindset, I think it's back there. You can see it. And
it's there. I see it.
I know a lot of people are like, wait, that means I have to do more. It's not about doing more. It's about becoming more of who you were meant to become. You weren't meant to play it safe. You weren't meant to live life in mediocrity or in doubt and in fear, right? Life happens. There are some fearful moments in our lives. There are things that might get you frustrated, right? Those are normal emotions. Our emotions move us forward. Our emotions make things happen sometimes. And we weren't meant to be kumbaya 24/7, 365. We weren't meant to be that way, right? But the More Mindset is about believing more, believing differently so that you can have the life that you dream of. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be painful. And it doesn't have to be a big mountain to climb.
That is amazing. And I know this episode, if you're listening to it today, The More Mindset is released today. So go get it, read it, become more. And I'm going to be thinking about what I can do more instead of being fearful about what I take on.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Diana, for joining us and for sharing all this with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
And remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and I'll talk with you later. If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You can also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.